found out how to live his life. And then we're going to have a working for yourself overview. And then we have a talk from Joanne here to understand, like, you build companies. A lot of times people forget that you still need security to protect a lot of your stuff because scams are getting, like, just out of hand sometimes. You know? So we're going to have that talk right there. And then we're going to go over some popular digital nomads that some people may know about, others don't, just so you know who to pay attention to. Then we're going to cover some cash cow business designs, so that way you understand, like, hey, these are some models that are really easy to just copy and run for yourself. And then I'm going to do a free-form business layout. So this is going to be sort of like, I'm going to put up an idea, and then you're going to sort of tell me what you think the structure would be to run that company. And we're going to go from there. And then we're going to meet a famous guy who, or a guy who met famous people and got to party with them. And then we'll close that out for the remainder of the year. So, yeah. All right, so we already did October, November. Those were our topics: intro to the lifestyle, and then making money, picking up remote work. This month is going to be about working for yourself. For January, we're going to have travel logistics and visa issues. February is going to be about managing your health and wellness. Networking as a digital nomad on a global scale will be in March. And then dealing with different cultures will be in April. And then basic success tips, because in May, I'm going to be trying to figure out, like, if this program is going to continue or if it's going to get bigger. So if it gets bigger, there may be the idea that it might turn into a mini conference of sorts, because I do get a lot of requests from people who cannot make this, but they want to know more, they want to connect. So this is something to sort of look forward to. All right, so who wants to see the guy who kind of figured out how to make his life better? I hope we have seen this before, though.
Hi, how can I help you today? I can't seem to leave a wink for someone. Okay, I'm looking at your profile. You left a lot of this stuff blank. Well, I haven't really been anywhere noteworthy or mentionable. Have you done anything noteworthy, mentionable? We have ahead of us the privilege of publishing the very last issue of Life magazine. And for the final issue, we just received -25 from Sean O'Connell for the cover.
It's 25. That's not bad.
I know.
Look what I found!
What's that?
Travel journal, thank you.
Hey! How was your weekend? I had an awesome weekend.
The ice skates. She moves like a woman.
I'd like to cut your hair.
Oh, wow.
What is it you call it when he goes into one of his little places?
Oh, it's not there.
You do that now and then. What's the matter?
I lost the picture.
I like mysteries.
You didn't know.
Crack the case.
You were Sean's partner. You finish his work.
Life is about courage and going into the unknown.
Where are you now?
Himalayas? I'm not gonna keep this short. I have to make oxygen choices.
So hopefully you all seen that movie. That came out a long time ago. But the idea I brought up, I wanted to show, like, as part of this program is to get out and travel and to experience things, because again, that guy lived a 9 to 5. and look what he was experiencing. He realized he was passing up all this stuff that was going on, and as digital nomads, is like, you go out there and you experience things. If you stay in a routine, nothing changes, you know. So that's why when I saw this, I was just like, this is sort of a perfect little encouragement to that. If you've seen the original Life of Walter Mitty, the crazy thing about those two movies is the only thing they have in common is the title of the movie. They're completely different plot lines, which is crazy. So we're gonna have a security talk from Joanne, and so she's going to swap out, and I will let her take over. Do you need the adapter or you, oh.
Thank you. We'll see how this works. Alright, that is our old slogan, FYI. For a variety of reasons. But I'm just gonna do it this way. We're gonna old school it here. So, I actually was under a misinterpretation here. Wow, that is gonna be the way it's gonna look. Alright, cool, that's horrifying, but alright. Is that, I actually didn't think I was gonna give a cybersecurity talk, but that's okay, because I can slowly incorporate cybersecurity goes into literally every aspect of every single business. And it can be as small or as big as you want. There's a thing that we called risk appetite. And everybody gets to have a different one. So I do actually want to kind of start this before we go any further into this. Like, who actually owns their own business already? Okay, who's interested in starting their own business? Okay, who's afraid of starting their own business? All right, that's cool. The people who have theirs are there. It is not without its trials and tribulations. So I guess we're just going to do this old school. So hi, I'm Jim, and I'm COO and co-founder of Critical Fault. And we are a cybersecurity company that works with organizations of all sizes, from not only like really small ones to also, sorry, I gave him instructions. I'm the only person at my company who thinks to take pictures while you're giving any sort of presentations. And so we actually started off as a pen testing company, and we'll get into this as we go on farther. So does anybody know what pen testing is? Okay. And then I like a little bit more interaction. I used to be a public educator for 13 years. So my question becomes, does anybody feel comfortable giving a definition of pen testing? You don't count, you worked for us. All right, what about you? You thought about it. Yeah, you thought about it.
These pen testers, they test the security of application by throwing like a design test at it.
So you've only hit one cusp of it, so you're not wrong. So pen testing is short for penetration testing. And basically our job is to take, whether it's application, so everybody's like, oh man, I've got this like new idea for an app. I'm like, really? Have you checked its security? We've had billion-dollar utility companies as our clients, and we do physical penetration tests. So our job is to see if we can get past their badging systems, if we can get past their cameras, if we can convince them to just generally let us in the front door is generally the easiest part of it. This is actually my CTO, Chris Wall, and that's Chief Technology Officer. So if you wanted anybody to actually check and see how secure your application is with all the foregrounds and backgrounds and everything else that people are working with them, he's the person who you basically hire us to be the bad guys, and he's the one who breaks into all of your items. That would be Chris. As I say, I mentioned I have a background in public education. I taught calculus and geometry, algebra 1, computer applications, you name it. I like to stay in that realm, and then as it turns out, being a public educator in Oklahoma is a little toxic, so I've moved on from that. So when I talk about things that our company does, we do penetration testing, we do risk assessments, digital forensic and incident response. So right now you can't like read a newspaper without finding some big corporation that has been broken into. And then you find small companies and you talk to them and they go, no, we're too small for people to care. They care. It's like, so we do incident response and digital forensics for all sizes of organizations. Physical and social engineering, application security, as the gentleman in the back had mentioned, and security training and awareness, because as an educator, I believe that that's the most important part, is that I could put the most advanced, amazing tool in your hands, but if you don't know why it's important, how to use it, or how to train others in it, it's basically useless garbage you just wasted money on. So this is something that we work on. I'm gonna scroll through here. There are people of all ages in here. I am a millennial. Any other millennials up in here? I got like about 45% of the room. I like memes, not the like cringy ones that Zoomers like, and if you're a Zoomer, I'm so sorry. But you will find that these are throughout my presentation, because this is how I feel. This is my first business, because I specifically came from education. However, Chris, is it your 27th, 502nd? Like, yeah, he has had a bunch of ideas that just didn't quite work out. So I'm gonna go over this real quick, and at every single point of these, I'm gonna throw in why cybersecurity is really important, since that's what we're doing. And if at any point in time you think I need to go faster, let me know. I get to the point where I start talking real fast. So we'll talk about identifying opportunities, since most of you do not have a business yet. Business plan basics, legal and regulatory considerations, financial management, marketing and branding, and adapting to change. So, this guy is called Chrysippus, and he's an ancient Athenian philosopher who died from laughing at his own jokes. So I'm gonna think that I'm funny enough to have memes in here. If you don't think they're funny, that's okay. I do. Oops, sorry. I was trying to get that in there, but I'm evidently hitting all the buttons. So, identifying opportunities. We're going to highlight the need for thorough market research. What is market research? Does anybody know what that is?
Surveying the market to see what capabilities are out there.
Sure. And so I'm going to use a short story. I moved to a new apartment because, as we said, we're here in San Antonio now. And I was talking to a person who was thinking about them and their significant other creating a like sex shop with like massage oils and all this stuff. And you might be like, oh no. As I say, but they were like, I don't think that there's a market for San Antonio. I was like, I don't know. Do you think people have sex in San Antonio? And they were like, oh, what? And I was like, yeah, so go to your markets, go to your farmers markets, go to the like LGBTQ district, go to places that are more sex positive and ask them, do you have your needs met? Have you asked anybody? Or did you just go, this town feels a certain way, I don't think that they have it. So those people didn't do any market research, and they immediately had an idea and then threw it away without having any data to support that. Market research could be as simple as going to, if you make gourmet dog food and you want to know if that's a good product, then you need to go to places that have clientele that want gourmet dog food and see where they go and get their social media and other stuff from, and then talk to them about what they want. Go and talk to their clients out front of their shop and see what they want and see if that's going to work. It could be a Google form. Whatever it is, you're identifying an opportunity. You can have an amazing idea, but you need to make sure that there's people who want that idea. That's your opportunity. And then identify gaps, needs, and trends. We call this pain points in the industry. So basically, something that people need or want drive a market. And so with this identifying opportunities, the reason why we went into cybersecurity is because it doesn't actually matter how big or small your organization is. Somebody is interested in taking your money. They could be as easy as a gift card scam, to stealing money from an elderly person's bank account, to taking advantage of you over lost love schemes on social media, all the way up to wire me $35,000 or ransomware. And all of those things are part of what we decided was a major problem that we wanted to address. And we realized it wasn't being addressed from the point of attackers. We are hackers, we think like hackers, we attack like hackers. That's what people pay us to do, and then we tell them how to remediate those issues. So like, that was us identifying our opportunities and then going after it. I like The Office. Crisis, opportunity. What's the difference between these? They're basically the same. So what is a crisis to some is actually an opportunity to you as a business owner. So whatever you find that is that need, that niche, that pain point that you are helping cure or fix for somebody is what's going to drive your market research. I left this one in this order. Who knows what a business plan is? It's exactly what it sounds like. It is a piece of paper that dictates a whole bunch of things about what you plan your business is going to be. And so it's just like, hey, buy bags with dollar signs on them, fill them with money, right? If only it was so easy. So we have general ideas here. We have vision, mission, target market, competition, and financial projections. So vision is, what do you want? Why do you want it? Where are you going? And it can be a very like vague, in 5 years from now, I want X. Even if your vision, being nomads, is like, I want to work 10 hours a week from freaking Thailand and not be here anymore. Okay, that's a vision, all right? And say mission is going to be like kind of the principles you're going to stick to while you're accomplishing that mission, that vision. I was going to say, my mission, even though I'm heading up a pen testing firm, is that I still believe in education. We go to middle schools, high schools, colleges, career techs, nonprofits, and we give education on phishing, on cybersecurity, on things that we should look at. Physical security. Why is it important to not have your badge on you when you do social media pictures? Like little things like that are part of our mission because we believe that security is basically everyone's problem. Target market, we talked about that. If your client is everyone, you don't have one. Okay, so like not everybody needs cybersecurity. Yes, they do, but that's not who we target as a company because if I target everyone, then my message gets lost. Competition. Does anybody know what VC is? What's VC?
Venture capital.
Okay, what does that mean?
Basically, they find a bunch of startups in their garages. They say they find 100 of them, and they invest in them, giving them seed money, and there's different stages of it, and then they hope that one or two will make it big.
Sure. And so basically, it's a whole bunch of investors. It's one major corporation, whatever. They're coming in, they're like, wow, your idea is amazing. I'm going to give you money. They really only hope like 10% actually are like amazing. They don't care if the other 90% go bankrupt because they're looking for one unicorn. Okay, so be aware of that. But like with that, when you ask anybody about VC, anybody about venture capital, you know what venture capital tell you? You don't have competitors, you don't have a market. So like you can be better than your competitors, you can be different than your competitors, you can be adjacent to them, but you need to look at what people are doing that are around you. So you can either see what not to do. So you can be like, holy shit, we need a penny like that. Or we can be like, I want their clients and I know how I can get them. And so with that, you need to know what your competition is doing. And then financial projections are always part of a business plan. Does anybody know what I'm talking about when I say the hockey stick?
Yes.
Okay, the hockey stick
Fluffy.
is whenever you have a graph, so I'm a math teacher, so I apologize, and you watch your business do this, the hockey stick. And it's talking about exponential growth. You cannot tell everybody, not every business is going to be like, we went from eating spaghetti and ramen to billions, we're Facebook. Okay, like that's just probably not a great financial projection. I have every single presentation that comes before me, everybody tells me that there's a $23 billion market out there and we're gonna get like 25% of it. I don't think so, not everybody. So try to have realistic financial projections. You always want to overestimate your costs, underestimate your revenue, and try to give yourself a little like safety window in there. So with that, we have, moving on to our next step, I think I'm okay on time, legal and regulatory considerations. Okay, those of you who have a business, there's only, is it just you two? No one else? Okay,
I have a practice.
Okay, you have a practice?
Yes.
Are you an LLC or a corp?
S corp.
Okay, so he's an S corp. So here's the big part. I'm not gonna spend a huge part of this going over any parts of this. You need to know that if you are gonna be like small potatoes, you're just starting and you don't sure where you wanna be, I highly suggest also, not a lawyer. Don't take anything that I say out of context. I'm just telling you helpful hints from my own experience. You probably want an LLC. It's called a pass-through. It means that you can do all your deductions and they're gonna go to you as an individual. It helps give you a little protection. I highly suggest everybody does their own research and then make their own decisions, not off of the person you met one night at Capital Factory, okay? Discuss licensing, permits, and compliance regulations. This all depends on industry specific. I, once again, am not gonna go into detail of this, but know your business. My last line on here is basically, know your business or hire someone who does. If you're gonna go into fintech, financial technology, you better have somebody who knows Graham Leach Bliley. You better know somebody who knows their financial regulations. You better know somebody who's going to protect you. If you go into educational stuff, if you don't know what FERPA is, you better hire someone who does. And so this comes down to, I don't know what this is because there's literally thousands of iterations, if not millions, of everybody's single business in here. But I'm just trying to get you guys to think about what these are that you have to, because it's gonna be very specific to everybody's business. And it can significantly cost you if you get on the wrong side of compliance and regulation. So we have a person at our company who is one of our co-founders. He worked a very long time in the government. We make him read all of our legal documentation, and I think it's a punishment almost. But it's very rare in any legal document that I've seen that has gone through our hands of the company where we see put simply or in short. Basically we go, oh God, I read through this 100-page document. Here you go, Jordan. Double check it. And so you will read a lot of legal jargon the farther you make it through your company. So if you do not feel comfortable with that, make friends with a lawyer. They are going to be the ones who are going to make sure that you are crossing your T's and dotting your I's and not making any simple problems, because legalese is really hard to read. Does everybody know what I mean when I say legalese? Yeah, I see lots of head shaking. Reading legal documents sucks. So just throwing that one out there, and you will have them. Financial management, budget. Tracking revenue and expenses. Okay, learn from my mistakes. Okay, there are free options, but when you mess up, you get what you pay for. We had a free accounting service. We only paid for if they were doing like payroll, but otherwise the accounting service was free. And then they randomly duplicated all of our expenditures. And then we fixed it through reconciliation painfully by ourselves. And then it duplicated them again. And we went to tech support and they basically were like, we don't do that. Thanks. So we went to another support system that we do actually work. Right now it's called ZipBooks. And I don't feel bad saying that's $35 a month. And they do they have our accounting and we track it, and basically you become the accountant. But they don't do phone calls. They don't do virtual calls. But their chat assistant, amazing. I think I have a minors in accounting now after fixing my books for like the 4th time. ZipBooks did it the first time. So I don't have problems. We are also something called tools agnostic. If I tell you about a tool, I don't get paid for it. There is no like sweet commercialization happening here. It's just me telling you horrible mistakes I've made and things that have helped me as an entrepreneur. Document. A lot is deductible. Do you guys, if you own your own business, or if you're considering owning your own business, meals with potential clients, meals with current clients, meals with people in your own company, 50% deductible. Take a picture of that receipt, write on the bottom of it what the topic was, and it can say potential client, put a dash, put their initials. If you have like clientele, you can't have, like we sign NDAs with all of our clients, so I can't tell you who my clients are unless they have given us permission in written form. So I might put like KW, potential client, or I might be like follow up with actual client, KW, And then that way, that is enough for you to have a receipt, have a documentation, have an idea of what the purpose was and who it was with. Boom, done, good enough for the IRS. Can deduct. Also, does anybody know what the SBDC is? SBDC. It's Small Business Development Center. The one in San Antonio, the one across the United States, they give free seminars, and they literally have one coming up, I think, on January 10th on tax deductions for small businesses. Just, all you have to do is SBDC, Small Business Development Center, and they have free webinars. So it doesn't matter if you're a nomad, if you're here, if you're not here, if you're busy, you're not busy, and they will sometimes even send you the slides if you miss it. And they will give you a whole bunch of information about your company. Set realistic financial goals. Who is getting paid? If you get paid. How much and for what? So you said that you have your own practice, right? That sounds like whatever it is probably profitable. I assume that you got paid since starting day one?
Yes, yes.
Okay. We went a year and a half without getting paid doing our business.
That's normal?
And that, what was his response? That's about normal, okay? So this came down to set realistic goals. And if somebody is going to get paid, why? What are they doing? What is your company getting back for that? And does that help improve your business? All of these things. You have a question?
No, I want you to tell me about cash flow.
Cash flow, okay. Cash flow is part of your budget. So the first month or two of your business, you need, this also goes into document. Please put in all the services you pay for, whether that is trash, whether that is internet, whether that is people, and then you keep track of that for several months, and that's your, those are your expenditures, and then also your revenue. Revenue is money in, and then you need to see what's happening with your cash flow so you can make projections into the future about seeing how long your runway, the phrase is runway, is how long you're gonna have. Sometimes we've had runways of like 6 months, which is really good for a small business, and sometimes we've had a runway of like a week. Small business life is hard. 5, gotcha. I think I'm getting closer.
Yeah, we say
So-
runway is really depletion.
Yeah, runway is depletion. How long until you are screwed and payroll runs out? Like, it can be very like hectic. in a
Sounds
small
nicer than
business.
what it is.
Yes. Financial manager explaining the budget situation to the CEO. At least, luckily enough in this case, I'm the future CEO, so this is basically me talking to myself in a room of madness. So it's fine. But like you're literally having the person who's looking at the finances go like, you don't understand. We literally can't pay this bill. Especially for small businesses that are just started. And you'll have somebody be like, we gotta pay this bill. You'll be like, what other bill can we not pay for a month? We'll figure this out. And it becomes this like complex, convoluted thing. Marketing and branding. Effective marketing and branding comes from, and like I said, I'm trying to keep it within my time limit. Effective marketing and branding comes from an earlier marker research. Know your colors. Like there's actual codes, literally to Google color codes and find the exact red, the exact turquoise, the exact purple that brings meaning to your slogan, logo, whatever. If you don't know what fiber is with 2 R's, that is a great place to make logos. If you need assistance with it, because let's be honest, we're not all drawers. And some of us may be able to draw but did not know how to make it the right file. Fiverr is going to help you out with that. And then Canva is for your creatives. If you want to put stuff on LinkedIn, you want to put stuff on TikTok, you want to put stuff on Facebook, you want to put stuff on whatever, they already have it. It's like $12.99 a month. Online and offline presence, social media networking. I cannot stress networking enough. Networking is knowing who's in your adjacent space and go talk to them. That could be people here at Capital Factory, great place to be. Saw people I need to talk to in the bar, literally before I left, made sure I talked to them in the bar. Hey, remember me? I was at this thing. Here's my CTO, please talk to him. You guys are introduced, expect an email tomorrow. Networking, super important for your marketing and branding. Branding is who you are. Marketing is how do you tell people who you are and your services. So. Oh, it's too big. No one can steal your marketing plan if you don't got one. And my last slide, to keep this as fast as humanly possible, is adapting to change. The nature of entrepreneurship is dynamic. Embrace your change. You may pivot more than once. I'm gonna actually change it. You will pivot more than once. Learn from your failures, because there will be some. That is the wrong there. I am ashamed of that, FYI. And sometimes there's gonna be way more failures than you hoped. And then stay resilient. The one thing that we can say about everybody who's ever made it as an entrepreneur is that they have been kicked while they are down. They had mud dropped on their head, and if you were lucky, it was mud. And they still had to figure out a way to get cleaned up, stand back up, and try again. It sometimes sucks, and it will be stressful. I have said that there have been times where I'm so stressful it leaks from my eyes. And that comes from because I believe in my company, and I want it to continue to succeed. So you have to make it past the little hockey stick I drew up here. Sometimes looks like this, and then you start seeing some upward mobility. And I think I have one more. What I'm about to tell you is going to change your life forever. Are you really sure you want to know? Small business is all about change and learning uncomfortable truths.
I'm sorry, I was saying this song.
You're welcome. I was gonna say, and so this is my Q&A section. Hit me. Anything. And in worst case, if I don't know it, this dude's an actual nomad in the technology sector, and CTO guy knows like tons of stuff on cybersecurity or whatever. But hit us, any question, you go for it.
How was you guys your first client?
We cheated by using the reputation of Chris Wall. He actually had worked previously with them as their head of kind of red teaming, and when he left, they couldn't replace him, and so they had to come to us. So we cheated by already having established those relationships.
How about the second one?
Second one?
So going back to another point, we had been paid earlier. We hadn't hit net, on a positive rate,
break-even point.
Right, a break-even point until about a year and a half in. So we were consuming more than we were making. But we did start pretty heavy by leaning into our partnerships and what they could offer us as we were establishing a name for ourselves and having better understanding of the industry. Then we better understood what we were trying to do, how to market what we were trying to do to folks. Really it was about the 2-year mark that everything just kind of took off on its own. And the big key point that we learned was you can't do everything yourself.
Correct.
It was the most important thing for me to learn is that, I can do everything, but there's not enough hours in the day for me to do everything. I need to hire people who can do everything.
And we
or
found,
do those delegated tasks.
and we found partners in adjacent spaces. So we are a penetration testing firm. So we can do the compliance that is federally regulated, but we attached ourselves, sometimes white labeled, sometimes not. Sometimes you have to do things that doesn't get your name out there to make money. And we attached ourselves to auditing partners. They bring in millions and millions of dollars every single year, but they needed somebody to come in and play the attackers to make sure this federal regulation was being caught. So a lot of times find a partner in an adjacent space, create a strategic business relationship agreement, do that, is my suggestion.
But don't just expect them to give to you, find
Oh,
a way
no.
to give back to them.
Sure. Okay. Please ask. Guys, I've been a teacher to everything from middle schoolers all the way up to really old people. There is nothing you can say that makes you feel foolish in this room. Go for it.
Yeah, so you're saying your first clientele were just people that you already knew?
Previous relationships, relationship
Okay.
management is huge.
And then when did you start doing more outbound marketing?
So say that again, when did we start doing outbound?
More outbound marketing, cold, outreach, emailing,
It's
Pretty early.
So even though we still do that, I cannot emphasize enough that most of our business comes from word of mouth. Even though we put our stuff in things that were hey, 'tis the season to make sure you have your incident response retainer, and don't get me wrong, that's hokey, we get that. It's no action, right? But people will know what they're doing, and they'll be like, oh shit, I just suffered an incident. Hey, I use Critical Vault. And then that's how we get a lot of our business. So client relationship is key. It is much easier to keep a client than it is to find a new one. So we have competitors in the space who do a really good job at cycling through all of those customers. But that's because they can't retain them because they don't do a good job. That cannot be said of my company, and I'm proud of that.
So one thing to consider is that, you need to know if you're B2B or B2C, business to business or business to consumer. If you're business to consumer, consumer not that picky, but businesses are super picky. And when it's business, you have to manage that relationship. And it's entirely based on the relationship you have, whether they're gonna use you or not. If they like you, they might use you. If they don't like you, they're sure as hell not gonna use you.
And the funny part about that is that, like, literally, so like, I can have an entire, like, we meet and we're like, hey, this is awesome. You trust how good his work is based on how friendly I am to you.
Well, it's trust-based relationship, right? So.
But it's one of those things where always be nice to people, even if you think that they are pure trash, because you never know when it's gonna come back to bite you. Even with competitors, I always tell people, like, we have one competitor who we even had to sign a cease and desist to. We sent them a cease and desist. And here's the thing, when people ask us who they are, I'm like, I don't put their name in my mouth. I don't talk bad about them. I never tell anybody about it. I'm telling you now, but okay, go find a cybersecurity competitor. Good luck. Like, but it's one of those things, never say anything bad because it will come back to haunt you.
So from a business structure standpoint, I think on your first slide, you said it was a Native American.
Yeah, we are
So
MBE,
8A?
Native American, we are not 8A, but we are Native American, MBE certified, which is Minority Business Enterprise. So we do get benefits from that if somebody should be interested.
The only reason we're not 8A is because, somebody filed a lawsuit and there's a current injunction against being 8A.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
but now you can apply, but now there is additional paperwork to apply, so it was like a whole thing.
Yeah. I was just gonna point out that from a structural standpoint, if you're doing business with the government, some of those designations make it easier for them to get contracts, and they're set aside contracts.
The receipt with names on it.
Correct.
If you would like to put your name on the receipt.
Wait, we're not splitting this receipt, are we?
That's only if you sign the front. But thank you, and if you guys have any questions, I'm down at Critical Fault, so you can also get a card from me at the end of this.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate that talk. That was amazing.
Mark.
Yes. Let's give it a round. So to continue with that, what I wanted to show you here is someone who, again, I emphasize when you're living this lifestyle, you're trying to create as many passive income streams as you possibly can. Does anybody know about this guy? This story?
Nope.
So his mission right now is to try to basically create a portfolio of $10 million of passive income. And he's building it out, and who here has used Morning Brew? Ah, so you do know this guy. So he was the one that created Morning Brew. And he sold his company, and I'm going to give you just a brief insight because there's a corporate structure that he has that I want you to literally copy, okay? So I'm gonna play this video, and you're gonna see how he sets up his stuff to build a portfolio of multiple companies, okay?
This is Alex, a guy who started a newsletter in his dorm room and then sold it for millions. But after selling that business, he felt lost and spent months trying to figure out what idea he would pursue next.
It basically took me 12 months of doing every cliche thing that an entrepreneur does when they're looking for meaning.
This year, he found a new opportunity, a new identity to become a multipreneur. The goal? To launch a bunch of different tiny businesses and then hire CEOs to run them.
Over the next 5 to 10 years, I want to have a dozen plus companies that sit under me, that I am the CEO of none of, but I am the co-founder and chairman of all of them.
I flew out to New York to ask him about this personal holding company and how it all works. Turns out, he's already launched a few ideas, and one of them is already a $1 million business.
So we have 12 clients that are paying $7,000 a month. It's roughly $1 million a year in annualized revenue.
We're going to dive more into that business and go over his framework for how he finds new business ideas worth pursuing.
The best way to think of business ideas is to...
Plus, we'll cover the insanely scrappy method he use to launch that $1 million business, how we define product market fit, and how to hire top-tier CEOs to run these businesses. I'm Pat Walls, and this is Starter Story. What's up, man? What's up? Yeah, thanks for having me. Okay, tell me who you are and what are you building?
I'm Alex Lieberman. I started a company in college called Morning Brew, which makes business media fun and engaging for modern professionals. Morning Brew is a 200-person company that does more than $75 million a year in revenue. And today I'm building StoryYard, a modern executives personal media company. And my goal ultimately is to have a portfolio of bootstrap businesses under me.
So what does that mean, a portfolio of bootstrap businesses?
There's this idea of personal holding companies that's been talked a lot about recently. Some people call them personal venture studios, or my buddy Greg Eisenberg coined the term multipreneur. A personal holding company, very simply, is a company that is comprised of
Alright, that's where I'm gonna stop right there. That's the model you're looking for. So basically what he said was he's building basically a shell company on top of that. And then under that company is other companies inside of it. And so he's running it through there, which of course he is the CEO of none, but he is board of directors on all of them. And this is how he creates his structure for all that stuff. He doesn't run any of that stuff. As he said, he goes out and finds CEOs to run them for him, and then they build the teams. Any questions? Yes?
So, not to be
No, please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm sorry, I'm gonna be the negative in the room. So, I was a public educator, so I made like $47,000 a year. I have a master's, I worked for over 10 years, like my first degree is in advanced math, like, okay. So like with that, if you don't already have wealth, how do you get to the point where you can create not only your shell company, but also then find these other companies that will allow you to be on the board so that you can then thus have multiples of them so that you can then hire a CEO? Like once again, coming from the standpoint of having $47,000 a year annually. Before taxes.
So to answer that, so every single company he builds himself. So everything is on his terms. Sure. So every company is basically, he's starting off one company, building that out. Now I want to be very clear here that these are not companies that you start in a week, in 2 weeks or something like that. Each company is going to take at least a year or two before you get it to profitability, and it's going to take a lot of effort and time. As you build these up, they're going to start cash flowing themselves. And that's why you want to spend as much time on the first one, then you build up the second one, and then you build, but each one you own outright. They're your company, your idea, whatever you did. Again, you could go back to like a cash cow business idea. Hopefully that answers part of it, some of it, yeah, so, but that's sort of what he's trying to do. So I'm gonna let the story continue and then I'm gonna stop, because if you wanna watch the rest of it, please do, because it's very interesting, like, what he's also trying to build out.
Companies under it. And so the idea would be, let's just say, Alex Lieberman's company is Alex Lieberman LLC. There would be hypothetically 10 businesses that sit under Alex Lieberman LLC. And I'm the CEO of the holding company. My vision for my own personal holding company is, over the next 5 to 10 years, I want to have a dozen plus companies that sit under me, that I am the CEO of none of, but I am the co-founder and chairman of all of them. And for me, I get excited by that because it allows me to spend my time on the things within entrepreneurship that I'm most excited by, that Morning Brew taught me over the last 8 to 10 years. Today, we have one company within my personal holdco, which is StoryYard. And StoryYard is...
If you're here for digital nomad, come on in. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
What's going on there?
It goes crazy.
So basically right here, he created his first company right there. And again, even in the video, he said, you can copy this if you want to make it your own. Okay? Like, he realizes, like, ideas are a dozen. It's about execution. Most people have amazing ideas, but very few people can actually execute them. So that's one of the things to realize is, like, he doesn't care if somebody goes and tries and copies it. He's like, good luck, go try that. But that's the idea of, like, the StoryYard. What he's doing is he's building the first company, which basically just works with C-level, C-suite, executives, and manages all their social media for them. And for that, they pay about $7,000 a month. And he's just building it out from there. What's amazing about this, though, is that when he built Morning Brew, he built up a huge social media base already. So when he put out a tweet, or an X, or whatever you want to call it, and said, hey, I'm looking for CEOs that want a team of people to manage their social media. Hey, come on in, if you're here for digital media.
So,
Digital marketing, yeah, that's right. And what happened was, when he put the tweet out, he got a whole bunch of replies that said, yes, I want that service. So he had already built up that base. So as you're building these companies, you're realizing you're building up your social media presence, you're building your brand, and people are going to start following you when you start building out more stuff. And that's sort of like that leverage between those two.
Agency for B2B executives, and very simply, we help the top 1% of founders or executives build their brands on Twitter and LinkedIn. I put $0 into it, and our goal is to get to product market fit as quickly as possible, with the ultimate goal of having StoryRB a $10 million business on its own and profiting at least $3.5 million every year. Can you give us?
So there you go, yeah. So any questions, ideas, comments, concerns, complaints? No, okay. So I just wanted to share that because a lot of times, like when you start to come into this lifestyle, you look for ideas. You're looking for like ways to build out your income streams. And I found this story right here very interesting because you see a lot of other people who, like as you can see on the side right here, other people who are doing like passive income streams, ideas, cash cow businesses, things like that. And every single one of them has a story, but very few of them show the actual structure of what they're trying to build. And that's what I wanted to really convey here was, this is something that you can take, you can copy. If you watch the whole story later on, again, he says, please copy this. If you want to try it, give it a shot. If it works for you, awesome. If it doesn't, you know, there's many ways you can spin that whole business idea. Like he only works with C-suite executives. How else could you turn this business idea on its head? Who else could you target? You know, what about people who do car maintenance? Like you approach them and say, hey, I will manage all your social media for you. You know, what if you manage that whole industry? You know, instead of like not the executives of the world, but you would target a certain segment of the population in business, and you say, hey, I'll come in, you know, $600 a month, I will manage your social media. Now you don't do it, of course, you have a team behind that does that for you. You know, so, but again, there's different ways to spin it. So the next thing I wanted to cover was like popular digital nomads that are out there. Does anybody know any of these people right there? Traveling with Kristen, Catch Me If You Can, Dubinsky, any of those pop out? Any of those famous? No? Oh wow. Okay.
Chris.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. So Matthew has been doing this probably since about 1998. He's written about several books. But I kind of want to show you how they're setting up their businesses, because a lot of times people will ask, like, how do you go about doing these kinds of things? So traveling with Kristen, she has been everywhere pretty much. She has lived in a large number of countries, and she's built up a large social media base. So every time she lands in a different place, she can literally just tweet to her followers like, hey, I'm gonna be in Sao Paulo. If you want to come meet up with me, and 200 people will show up. You know, she's not Taylor Swift, but that's still influence. You know, that's still a large enough crowd. And so if you're curious as to like how to get started, she actually has a whole consulting service behind this, and you can talk to her. And just out of curiosity, if you wanted to talk to her, how much do you think you would pay to get consulting from somebody like this? Remember, they're not a developer, they're not an engineer, they've just sort of been everywhere. They know most of the places that you need to get into. Any ideas?
Oh, 500 now.
Ooh, very close, yes. Okay, any other? Alright, so.
But I'll save you some money. Start off by being a pretty blonde girl.
So let me see if I can find it. I think it's down below unless you changed it. She used to have it listed very clearly. Man, she must have just updated this.
Over that work with Kristen tab.
What's that?
There's a tab that says work with Kristen.
Yeah.
It's like a run inquiry.
No, I went to that one already, but yeah, there was one that she had, and it was basically let me see if she put it here. She might have just changed it all already. But wow, I can't believe she changed it.
Probably went up on her pricing and wanted to
Yeah, she probably went off on pricing again. But let me see if maybe did she put
Yeah, they ask that you fill out that form.
There it
if
is,
you
right
want.
there. Yeah, there it is, right there.
For 30 minutes.
30 minutes. So that gives you an idea of like how she does a lot of that stuff. Because again, if you say like, hey, I'm gonna be going out to Germany and I'm gonna be landing here, who should I talk to, where should I go? She can connect you right away. You know, if you say I'm going out to Dubai or if I'm going out to Egypt or any place like that, she can connect you, those kinds of things. So that's sort of why they're priced so high. Who knows about this person right here? She's made about $1 million worth of consulting, just teaching people how to travel for cheap. You know, how to travel pretty much on a $100, $50 a day budget. And she has been in all kinds of news articles, she's done interviews, she's traveled the world. And it all started when she had a bad situation with a roommate and she didn't know how she was going to pay for things. And she was just like, no, I need to get out and go do stuff. And she just booked a one-way ticket. She took off. She started to teach herself how to travel for cheap. And then all of a sudden, she turned around and said, why don't I just start posting some courses, post some YouTube videos, see what the feedback is. And then before you know it, people started reaching out to her. Hey, can I interview you? You're going to be in town. She reached out to agencies that she would, in the city she would land in, and say, hey, can we do an interview? They would promote her. She would get her business, you know, out there in the world, and it just took off. And so now she has all these courses, an amazing Instagram, and now she just teaches people how to travel for cheap. So.
Will you be sharing the presentation?
Yeah, if you want, yeah, absolutely.
Because we just got an emergency call.
Oh yeah,
We
you need to
just
go,
came in,
please.
but
Yeah. Did
we
you
don't want
sign
it to
the
look
little
bad.
like receipt?
But you have another session coming up.
Yeah, in
right?
January. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, sorry about that. We just
No,
came in,
absolutely.
but we
Yeah.
have to-
And when you register, you can also reply to that email, and that'll go directly to me.
If you don't mind, I can also put my slides in there too.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, please put your name and then I can send you that.
Okay, will do.
Hold on, Chris, do you have slides to share?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you.
All right.
guys.
Yeah,
Sorry.
thank you so much. All right, so who knows about Cash Me If You Can law? Do you know about this one right here? So she became the very first black woman to travel to every country in the world. Okay? And she wrote a book about it. She has a travel agency behind it where she will take between like maybe 12 and like 20 people to different places she's been and provide a very local travel experience. And she's been doing this for quite some time. She just updated her entire website. If you see, this is the book, I read it. It's really amazing where she's been, the places she's eaten at. Some of them I've written down, I'm just like, I gotta go try that when I go there. Like she goes to Lisbon, Portugal, you know, Cape Town, all these places, and she just mentions like, go try this restaurant if you're here, go eat here, like go talk to this guy. If you need a ride in you know, in Egypt, go talk to him, he'll get you where you need to be. It's a really interesting story. And she goes through a lot more about, oh yeah, okay. Her destinations, I mean, now that she's sort of been everywhere, now she's just sort of trying to figure out like what she wants her travel agency experience to be like. You know? So when you travel at that level, it turns into, you know, a whole industry in itself. All right, so who knows about this guy? No one.
Does he have a YouTube video?
He does have a YouTube channel. Yeah.
I
In fact, he made a YouTube channel. He made a YouTube video that I'm going to show you.
He went to North Korea, right?
Yeah, he went to North Korea. And did you see all the clickbait videos he made?
I think so.
How he got banned, and he's like, I'm never. But in fact, he didn't really get banned. He just chose not to go back. And I was like, that's clickbait, you know. But what I wanted to show you was a video that he did that was really interesting. There we go. All right. Are you here for a digital nomad? Yeah, come on in.
Oh yeah, I've seen that video.
Okay. So, yeah, I'm glad you did. See?
Good video.
It's a very good video. So look at the video that he just posted. She cooks her leftover McDonald's. Like, who's not going to click on that? See what I mean? I mean, like, the way he does this stuff is so good. But yeah, it's actually true. She will go through the trash in the mornings, and she will collect all the leftover food, and then she recooks it at her restaurant, and people come and eat, and they love it. Now, and the lady even went up to Drew and she's like, here, you can try this, it's really delicious, I cleaned it. And when you hear that concept as an American, you're like, what does that mean?
She ran it through hot water.
She ran But the thing is, like, when he travels, he's not traveling just for his own personal experience, he's traveling to share stories. You know, and that's the other key part to his business, is he's sharing these stories that he finds when he goes down to these places. Because most of the time when you travel, you look for the nice places, you look for the not trashy areas. He goes out of his way to look at everything. And if he finds a story worth telling, he's going to sit down because he has the resources and team to film it, you know? Yeah, so, but if you've never seen the video, go please watch it.
Yeah, but in the video, he did not eat that food.
Yeah, he does not eat that food. That's true, and even I was just like, no, I don't think you could pay me enough to
I think his team did.
Yeah, his team did actually.
Yeah.
His videographers were actually watching. They were like, "Oh, this isn't too bad." And he was like, "No."
Sure, if I'm gonna pay for their hospitalization for food, but
yeah. But yeah, he's been around, and in fact, he made another video about like some of the hardest passports he ever had to get, and some of the like difficult visas that he had to go through. There was one visa where like it had to be in a specific day at a specific time with a very specific interviewer. And if he missed that, he wasn't going to be able to do it for another 3 years or so to get that visa, and he did it. But he's very dedicated to traveling and showing you how to like save money. So he's written, a number of books. He speaks quite a bit. But the other one right here, this guy has been doing it for a very long time, and this is Matthew, Nomadic Matt, and he started, like I said, back in the 1997, 98, before the internet is what we know today. When AOL was the cool thing to use.
You didn't ask. I know this one.
Oh, yeah. Oh, see, he knows.
I know that.
Yeah, see, and
it's been a while.
It's good, yeah, exactly. And I've read his books, and they're absolutely amazing. When he wrote the book Travel the World on $50 a Day, that was the one that everybody's like, I gotta read this. This was before the clickbait YouTube videos on like how to do everything cheaply.
does that count for inflation?
Right. Well, seeing how that book's probably like 10 years old, maybe, probably not.
Just maybe.
So, but yeah, there's even YouTubers now who've taken these ideas and they've spun them into like how to travel in certain countries on $100 a day, and where that gets you. So there's all kinds of ways to spin it. So let me see if I can find. Okay, yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to show these guys because a lot of times there's so many people who've been doing this for a long time that to them this is just their normal way of living. And to other people, it's sort of still that fear factor of getting out there and traveling, So sometimes like being gone for 6 months may be like jarring to you, and it may feel uncomfortable when you get used to that lifestyle. It's just like, I don't want to go back. Like, I don't want that routine, So that's why I showed you that movie in the beginning about the guy who had the 9 to 5, and he found like, no, there's life out there. I'm gonna go enjoy it. So the other one I did want to touch on was Tropical MBA, and that one was actually really interesting because he went out. Let me see if I can find it. There it is. So he had been traveling for a long time, and he just started to figure out like, okay, well, if I'm traveling all the time, and this is how I create all my businesses, then can I just create an MBA program out of that? And he did. And he launched all these courses. He started a podcast, YouTube channels, all these things. And it started to teach people like, hey, if you just go out there and build your company, that's better experience than sitting in a classroom spending $250,000. Then you could have just taken that money and built some companies with it. And that would have given you a better lesson than like, you got to be on your chest. B doesn't, say you're going to be a successful CEO. So he went through and just started to interview a lot of people that he met. And he was just like, how do you run your business? How do you do this stuff? How do you get out there and do this? And he's interviewed some of the greatest people out there already. And now he just shows you how to do that. So, any questions? Anybody know this one before I mentioned it? Yeah, no idea.
I know all the people he interviewed.
Yeah, you see? Yeah. But yeah, please write these down. These are valuable resources right here just to check them out, watch the podcast. But the next part I do want to cover is cash cow business ideas. So who here is familiar with these models right there?
Most of them.
Okay, yes. Okay, which ones? All of them or just one of them?
The digital ad.
Okay, yeah. I mean, like that one's like pretty popular already. Anyone know the first one? Anybody know who keeps like marketing that one heavily? Any YouTubers? No? No? Does anybody know Liam Oakley? No? Or what about Eamon, I can never say his last name. Let me bring him up. So, oops, yeah. Yeah, this guy right here that charges like, what, $30,000 for a mastermind? Or I think it's 45 a ticket for a mastermind. Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, so he talks about like AI tools, things like that. But if you look at, yes, and then AI. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so he was the one that really started to push this whole like, why not start to build like AI tools, AI automation agencies, and it started to take off because he basically just gives you a framework to say, hey, look, just take this, copy that, automate it, and then you can build your first passive income stream company right there. You have to really play with this. You have to like test it out because again, this is not a like copy and paste. This is a pretty much a 6 to 8 month or even more process to really refine it, make sure it works, automate it, get it set up, and before you can push it off and let it do its thing, you need to make sure it's really, really working. You know. So any comments on that?
Why is he not doing that?
He is doing that. He actually runs several agencies, and that's why he teaches like online courses, he runs mastermind groups, he does all kinds of stuff like that. So even if you wanted to work with him directly, you just gotta have the money for that. It is not cheap. But yes, he does offer those kinds of services, and I think he even runs his own Discord community. So if you wanted to, be a part of that, he shows you like different things that he talks about, and he goes over like problems that people run into, and he helps solve some of those things and works with them on that. So, but yes, this is sort of the new thing that's going on. So, any others here? I did experience agency. Any idea what those are?
If we travel?
It's sort of like traveling, yes. Does anybody keep track of the Forbes under 30 list for Texas? No?
I kinda do.
Oh, you do? Alright, do you know the one from Austin?
What do you mean the one? It's a list of a bunch of people, right?
Under 30, yes, that they put out for this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know this year's about to end, but,
So I mean, I know some people on that list.
Okay, but what about the one from Austin? Do you know him?
There's one walking tour?
Almost, you're close, yes, you're close.
Oh, because they do a list for just Austin, like the 30 under 30 in Austin.
Yeah, so this is the one, this is the one right here, so I'm gonna just kind of cover this. Going back to what Joanne said, the importance of networking, what's crazy is like a lot of these people are again from Texas, and because I go to so many events, a lot of these people I've run into before they were on the list and running their stuff. So any of them pop out, let me know.
Good name.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, but everybody's under 30. Which one? Okay.
There are cars everywhere.
Son 11, yeah, co-founder. Idea Peddler, and then this guy right here, I actually saw him compete. He won top prize at the Tech Block competition in San Antonio. Most of his team is in Mexico, but he's not going to be relocating them to San Antonio. But he does 3D metal printing on large scales for facilities. So he just won $50,000, and this is the guy right there. So I want you to read his story because it's a very simple problem that he saw and fixed. Okay. So with that note, this is a little more detail about his company and some of the numbers. So again, he just was trying to put together like fishing trips, hunting trips for his friends and family, and he started to notice it was very difficult to piece together these experiences. And he was just like, why don't I just put together a company that provides experiences for trips? And all of a sudden, he started to get a lot of customers signed up. And people were just like, I want to go on a deep sea fishing trip. I want to go on a hunting trip. I want to go do this. I want to go do that. And he basically came in and just provided, you give me what you want, I will send you tickets. I will take care of the hard work in the end. I will get everything done. Your hotel, your trips, your tickets, everything. So when you show up, it's all taken care of. Who wouldn't pay for that? You know? Yes.
Do you have any idea how he did his marketing?
His marketing, because he was already in like that hunting like environment and the Facebook groups and the Twitter and all that stuff, it was an easy post. Like, hey, if you're going on a trip this week, contact me, I will set up your trip. Very simple, you know. And he grew up in that family life of hunting and fishing and all that stuff. So you you start to know who these groups are. You start to know who these other families are. And so it was easy getting a lot of the customers started. But over time, it just took off, and he started to notice that this is what people are looking for. You know, so going back to what I mentioned right here, an experience agency. You know, so you provide an experience. Another one is like Nat Geo and their world tours. Have you ever seen? Exactly. You know what I'm talking about.
And then they like rented out a huge plane, right?
Uh-huh.
And it's like $100,000 for a ticket or something.
Right. Yeah. You know, but the thing about Nat Geo is that they've been around like forever. You know, so they have like 500-600 people sign up for a tour. You know, so they'll break them up into groups. But that's an experience. You're paying for an experience, and because they've been doing that for centuries, or sorry, decades. It feels like they've been doing that. It's sort of like there, you know the people there, they know how to set things up, they know how to get everything streamlined, so that's what they're paying for. But one of the other things I started to pick up on is the mobile service agency. So like car mechanics, lawn care, beauty, fitness, nutrition, health, things like that. People that will come to you and providing that service. So on that note right there, if you wanted to build, let's say, a print-on-demand business, how would you set that up? So I'm going to go through here. What would be the first thing? Let's say you want to start on Shopify, okay? What would you need to do to get this going?
Have something you want to print.
Okay? So you have orders coming in because you put all your products on there, okay? Everybody's familiar with dropshipping, by the way? How this all works? Do I need to do a refresher? No? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, so basically what dropshipping is, I will put my products on a store, and as soon as you buy that product, someone else is going to make it for you, and they're going to ship it to you. I don't have to do anything. So I'm not going to print it, I'm not going to do that stuff. I just put the design on the item, and then somebody else handles all the back end stuff, and that's it. So how much work do you need to really set that up? How many people do you think you really need in that process?
Just one person.
One person. Who's that one person? You or someone else?
Someone else.
Okay. So you hire a VA.
Oh.
So the VA comes in and checks the status of the order and just makes sure everything runs smoothly. Anybody? Yes.
For those that don't know what a VA is?
Oh yes.
Virtual assistant.
Virtual assistant. Yes, that's right. Does anybody understand what a virtual assistant does, or is it pretty? Okay. Yes. They're basically just there. You hire to whatever it is you need done. So if their role is to come in and make sure the order goes smoothly without any problems, maybe they picked the wrong size, the wrong color, something happened. That VA is just there to make sure.
They leave a review.
Okay, yes. Oh, he had it right. Say it again.
Or they leave a review.
They leave a positive review. So after they leave a positive review, you should get what after that?
More customers?
Repeat business. There it is. Is that complicated?
The marketing for it is kind of hard, but.
Yeah, absolutely. So how could you fix the marketing part? Oh, you're close. Just say it. I know you want to say it.
No, I thought you got it. Social media?
You can use social media, but there's somebody behind the social media first. You hire a marketing VA. Why do you need to do the work? What? No. This is about streamlining. right? So if I have to go in and run this stuff, what is that called? Any ideas? A what? Managing.
Manager.
But it's a job, right?
Mm-hmm.
But if I have somebody else manage it for me, it's a what? It's a business. Okay? Is there any way to improve it, not improve it? Is this perfect as it is? I mean, like, you have to realize, like, this is going on, like, every day, everywhere. Like, there's so many dropshipping sites out there, it's ridiculous. If the market is so saturated with, like, print on demand, you have to be really good at marketing, you know, to get it out there. But it's doable. It's absolutely doable. You know? So what about an AI automation agency? How would you set this up? What would you need?
A model behind the AI, like specifically the problem you're solving.
Right, okay. So let's say we use Make or Zapier. So we have that set up. So we have our tools in place. What do you need next? Any takers? Anybody want to try to guess? Because you had it before. You need what to get your business going?
VA.
A VA. What type of VA? A lead gen. You need somebody to generate your leads for you. So they go out and get all your customers. If that's their job, then what do you do after that if you get a customer? Does that mean you got a customer, or do they still need finessing?
Close the deal, close.
Oh.
Very close it.
There you go, sales prospect. So they gotta make sure they're right for what you're offering. Right? So sometimes you may find somebody and it doesn't really match what they're looking for, so you wanna make sure it's a good fit. If that's the case, where do they go next? They close the deal. Okay, so then they leave a positive review, and then you get what? Repeat. Any confusion about this? Is it too simple? Does it look like it's just like, no, it doesn't work? Yes?
Are you paying for each individual?
Yes, absolutely, yeah. So you go out and you can go on like Fiverr, you can go on Upworks, you can go on all these kind of like VA platforms. There was someone I was hoping would have been here tonight. He actually runs a VA agency in San Antonio. But he didn't show up tonight. But the idea is that you can go on these services and look and just interview them and test, like give them projects, see if it works, see if it doesn't work, try it out, and then you might have a good working relationship. The idea here is that eventually you want to just push it off to them so it runs on its own. And when problems come up, you can check in on it or you can hire a project manager. Yes, go ahead.
San Antonio, what was that guy's name?
Mark, Mark, let me see. He runs a podcast, and let me find it real quick. Mark Edinger? Yeah. But he runs a virtual assistant agency in San Antonio. And I was hoping he would have shown up tonight, but he didn't. And again, there's a lot of companies out there that many people have started to run their own VA agencies themselves because it's such a profitable business. Like the one I showed you before, if you just hire some VAs and you match them up with people to handle their problems, that's a business in itself, right? So there's all different kinds of ways to look at it. So anyway, so here's another one right here. I'm just gonna go with this. How would I fill in the gaps? This is like a mobile service agency. Let's say I'm a hairstylist. How would I set this up? Any ideas?
Same thing, get a VA for cold calling, like calling.
Very good, yeah. You can have cold callers, yeah. What's another way to do it?
I was gonna say marketing VA.
Okay, yeah. I mean, there's another way of looking at this and being like, hey, you can even have it to where they can call all these places and say like, hey, can my boss come and talk to y'all about this? And try it out. And then they go and then you speak to them. And then if you got a potential customer, you send it to your VA, they take care of the rest. Yes? No? Does this seem too outlandish, too easy? Any comments, concerns, complaints? But yeah, I wanted to share these with you because like sometimes people don't realize like there's a way of different, of looking at things. From last month's presentation, I did want to cover, let me see if I can find the other one that I have a layout for. There it is. So like right here, like managing a remote team. Like just this simple layout in itself If you are at the top, you have your lead gen, you can hire lead generators. Below that, you have your VAs, and then you have your quality leads and follow-ups. They go through, and then they send that to one VA, and then they close the deal. That's another way of looking at it. You can set it up like that. Somebody that was in the event last month, that's how he set up his first business. Yeah, so. But on that note, I kind of want to pivot real quick because there is somebody here. Oh yes, you had
Just where do you find your best local VAs? I don't know.
So I've always used Upworks. I've been playing around on that site for the longest time, and the reason why I like Upworks so much is because there's one feature they offer. I'm gonna see if I can find it. So there's a feature in Upworks where you can't do this in Fiverr. Man. I was hoping it would show up. Okay, so basically what Upworks allows you to do, let me see if this is it. This is close. Okay, so Upworks allows you to actually build your team inside there using a framework. So you can actually put like your project manager at the top, and then have your VAs below that, and your project manager is only assigned to those VAs. You can't do that in Fiverr. Fiverr is a one-to-one type of environment. But with here, you can actually set up like an entire accounting thing, so that way they can keep track of all your finances. So when your finances are done, they will send that to your tax accountant or tax attorney. They will file your taxes for you, then it's done. You know, so meanwhile your teams are still running, they're going through there, you know what the pricing is, you know what all the tiers are at, and you can change that in and out. So if your project lead comes to you and say, hey, we need another VA for this process, they can go in and either hire it themselves, or you can go in and add it to the team. Yes?
Sorry, what's this called again?
Upworks.
No, Upworks, but what do they call it on?
Teams. Yeah. So there's a little section, you have to turn that feature on though. It's not turned on automatically, you have to turn it on. But it's really, really useful, and I really enjoy using it because it allows you to just silo a lot of your processes. So if you want to just like run all your companies and then just send it to one silo, like all your taxes and finances, you can do that as well.
So,
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
So for those who are unfamiliar using Upworks, are these people generally paid by the hour, or by the job, or by the output, or what?
So it's up to you. If you want to pay per project, you can do that. You can pay per hour. If you know that this job may only last for 6 months and your budget is $300, they know your budget is $300, and they know that when they're applying for the job. If you're paying per hour, then you set an hourly rate of what you're looking for. If you're trying to hire engineers or developers, then you're going to set a price. Upworks now allows you to not set a price, so you can get as many people to apply as possible. But it all depends on your budget. You know, if not, you can just open it up to everybody to apply and then just go through the list and interview. Yes.
For transparency, if you don't mind me asking.
Sure, absolutely.
Which method are you using? So
Sure.
like you had all these different, you have your business, and then you have your VAs, and then this is the business you have, and then you get all this passive income, and now you get to travel the world. Which one are you using?
So I use the LLC as the opener, and then I have like 2 underneath that, and then I have VAs that manage those. So like an agency, and then I have one for like web design.
Thank you.
Web design has just been like just simple stuff. Like they go out and they just find things like that. And then they take the finances, they send it out to the CPA. Yeah. Any questions on that or?
No, that was one question.
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. So has this been helpful so far? Has this been enlightening? Is this the first time people are seeing this? I'm just curious. Yeah, more or less? Yeah. Yeah? Okay.
First time you see them.
Good. Yeah, I hope so. So
How
there's,
about the quality of their service of these people that?
so that's where I would recommend interviewing them. Like give them a test job, go through the stuff, like if you know exactly
You have to
what.
pay for this job, yeah?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So again, you can start, Upworks limits you to $3 an hour, and then it goes all the way up. There are some people on here $500 an hour, $1,000 an hour, and there are people on here $3 an hour. You know, so it all depends on what you're looking for. If you need an app developer, if you need an engineer, a researcher, you know, whatever it is you're looking for, it's there. Even lawyers are on here. You know.
And it works internationally, so.
Oh, it is only, yeah, it's all international. In fact, you're gonna find a lot of people applying from like the Philippines, Thailand, and India. I have no idea now what the situation is with Russia on there. Cause there used to be a lot of people from Russia there. I don't know what Upworks did, recently, so.
Well, I do.
Oh, you do?
I mean,
Okay.
recently, like a couple months ago, they just iced them.
That is-
And they
okay.
took them off the site.
Okay, alright.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
And it's Upwork, it's not Upworks with an S.
Upworks,
Yeah.
Alright, yeah. Anyways, would you like to come and talk
Sure.
real quick? Yeah, so this man right here has a digital nomad housing facility, is that right?
Yep.
Yep, and so his name is Mark, so I'm gonna let him talk real quick about what he does.
Okay, I'll just show them like the picture of the place on there if I can.
Sure. Let me get you a tab.
So, well, before I do that, let me say, because a lot of the things you talked about, like I sort of been through for a long time. So, after I finished school, I worked for a couple companies for like 10 years. And then I worked for like Microsoft and Oracle. And then my wife was finishing up, my ex-wife was finishing up a PhD. I was working for a big startup in Paris, France that sort of imploded. I'd only worked there 9 months, but I got a whole year of severance pay, because that's socialism. Great. When you're an employee, that's why nobody starts businesses over there, or very few people do. And so we moved to San Diego, had a lot of money in the bank, couldn't find any decent jobs, and so I started my company. But a few of the things that so that was like 2002. A few of the things that I set out to do was no meetings ever. I hate meetings, I still do to this day. No meetings ever. Totally geographically untethered, so I could roam around, and so on and so forth. I started trying to hire people locally, like students, to develop software, but this was San Diego, and they all wanted to work for game development companies. So out of desperation, I started pecking around online trying to find like people to hire to do software development, and I stumbled across websites. I had a lot of money, but I didn't want to invest any of my own money, just like that guy that you showed. And so it was the app, the app business was just getting started in 2002. So and this goes to a question that this person asked, like, how do you do all this if like you got a salary of $57,000 a year and you don't have money to hire all these people? So I spent about 50 hours writing a specification for an app. So I did some business analysis of what was out there, chose like a category and an app, wrote a specification with detailed drawings of the screens and descriptions of everything that would happen. Then I posted that online. I said, I invested 50 hours. I'm looking for a developer to invest 50 hours, and I'll split the revenue from this app. And so then I went and I did the marketing plan. So there was no money involved at all, right? No exchange of money. I invested 50 hours, they invested 50 hours, and then we started a business, and that business generated millions of dollars. And I've replicated that like many times over the last years. Now I don't do revenue splits because I kind of know that if I put in a little money at the beginning, I want to control the upside because I know how it's going to play out. I mean, I've already been there and done that, so I don't have to give away the upside. But if you or some of you haven't started any successful businesses yet, or sort of moderately successful businesses, then it's all beneficial to you to give away the upside if you convince people to start working with you without paying them a lot of money. You might have to pay them a little money, but for a lot of businesses, like software development, all it is time. Everybody's got a computer. It's just time. So you just need people to invest time with you, and anyway, so then there's that.
Did you find your app developer on one of these freelance sites or some other way?
I use Upwork extensively.
Okay, so that's
but at the time it wasn't around. Like
okay,
2002,
that's what I was
so,
kind of
yeah. So always on websites and stuff like that. And I use Upwork extensively, and like it's all in. Like there's I don't know how many like workers there are on there, but it's probably in the tens of thousands, maybe 50,000, 100,000. So like it's all about like how do you find the right ones, and that's all about the interviewing process. Like you just interview people, send them batches of questions and try and drill down on who's like passionate about the domain area that you're interested in. Because if you just keep doing rounds of questions with people, people will drop out. Generally, I only do like 3 rounds of questions and then I hire somebody. But 80% of the people won't even answer the first questions. They'll be like, oh, I'm gonna answer a question, oh geez. So then they just abandon, and then, you'll get like 20% that will answer the first group of questions, but some of them are really dismissive, like one word answers, you see they're not motivated. And then you end up with 2 or 3 people that you can see are motivated. They're motivated by like the project, not just by like how much money can I get from this person. And so those are the people you want as a entrepreneur without unlimited amounts of funds. Okay, so my main business is making apps for software development, for learning languages. So the name of my company, that company is Vida Lingua, and we've had about 15 million downloads over the years, and we've always got really cool new versions coming out. And then about 7 years ago, I stayed in a what do you call those? Like a house for digital nomads, a co-living space, and I liked it so much, and I talked to the owner of it, who's this nice guy from Belgium, and I said, well, I'd like to, be part of this, but I don't want to invest like a business angel, because I've done that a few times, and it's really hard to get your money back. So I was like, what can we do? He said, well, buy a house and let us run it for you. So this is the house. That's the deck of the house. Here's the house itself. It's in Travis Heights, so it's like 5 minutes from here. It's got 6 bedrooms. That's the view from the house. It's really high above Barton Springs. No, that's not true. And then here's one of the rooms in the house. So 7 years ago, I stayed in one of these places in San Diego. I loved it, because I hate staying in hotels. It feels like so anonymous and like generic. And I stayed in one of these places in Encinitas. I totally loved it. I was like, oh my God, this is exactly what I want. Like, I want people like-minded to hang out with. And they were all digital nomads. 7 years ago, they were all digital nomads hanging out at this house in Encinitas, California. So it ended up taking me like 5 years to find a suitable house, because first the guy who owned this outside company, he wanted to look in like places like surfing places like Costa Rica or Puerto Rico. And I like to be on the beach, but like one or 2 days is enough for me. And so when Austin started getting really cool, I was like, that's it, man. It's a place a little sunny. It's got a bunch of entrepreneurs. Now I've actually warmed up to Puerto Rico, but I'd like to put the next one in San Juan, Puerto Rico. Not like on the beach.
Nice.
Yeah, because close to the beaches and all that, but like a real critical mass now of like entrepreneurs just flocking in there for the tax advantages and the sunshine. So I'd love to do one there. So it's not particularly cheap. Like a bedroom in here is anywhere from $2,500 a month to like $3,500 during South by Southwest and all those things. So that's just one room in this house. But you get like a house manager who organizes events. You get to meet really cool entrepreneurs from all over the world. You share spaces inside. The rooms are really nice. It's in the perfect location. It's like 5 minutes from here, really easy to get around and stuff like that. And I love the concept. So for the very first time, I'm going to get to do it.
Yeah.
I'm leaving on the 10th of January. Well, I mean, I've traveled a lot to a lot of different places, but this is the very first time I'm just going to kick off for like 2 months. So I'm going to Medellin, Colombia. You know why?
Yeah.
You know why?
Long Beach Nomads.
Nope.
That's good internet.
Nope.
Buy cheap real estate?
Nope. Because I'm single.
Oh.
And everybody swears that the most beautiful women in the whole wide world are in Medellin, Colombia. So I'm about to find out for real. And if that doesn't work out, I'm off to Buenos Aires.
I was there in February, and yes.
It's true?
There are some stunning beautiful women.
Oh my God.
I also recommend Bogota.
Bogota?
In the mountains, yeah.
Okay. All right, so then I'm going to Buenos Aires, and then I'm going to Sydney, Australia, and then I might go somewhere else, and then I'll come back here for South by Southwest. But yeah, I love these concepts. And so, I mean, there's a million of these. So Outside has 50 properties across the world. They just opened up a nice big one in like Mexico City. There's Selena, you've heard of that one. I don't know, and then those seem to be the 2 big ones. Anybody heard of any other ones besides Selena and Outside? Then there's like individual houses like Surf Break in Australia, in Hawaii. And then, you know, there's all kind of price points. So mine is like pricey, the rooms are kind of big, like I said, they're like, you know, like the rooms kind of have a sitting area, work area, and then like a sleeping area. But, you know, most of them are not like this, they're like less expensive, you know, like $1,000 a month, which is great, live for $1,000 a month in a tropical place.
Yeah, especially Austin, yeah.
In Austin, there's not a lot of great choices for $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
Like mine is like minimum, you know, $2,400 a month, I think is the minimum. But like, you know, all these places, you know, like Bogota, I mean, every place south of the border seems to be like $1,000 a month, if that.
So can people
It's
come
pretty
and
good
visit?
standard that,
Yeah.
for $1,000 it's good standard.
Yeah. So can people come
Yeah,
and visit?
can people visit and just check it out, or is it only private tours, or?
Yeah, they can't really come and visit. Oh, what you can do is you can visit it online. So, coliving-austin.com. So, if you go here, book your stay, it'll take you over here, and you can see a ton of pictures. So, where the pictures go? Yeah, so, yeah, there's a ton of pictures.
Okay.
Now, if you're serious about staying there, you can send a message to reservations and say, hey, I'm really considering staying here. Would it be okay if I just pop by and took a look at a room? And they will do that for you. But again, I don't do that.
Right.
So like Outside does it. They take a percentage of the revenue to you know, to run the place for me. But okay, I'll show you this, folks. You're showing that slide about that guy who wants to have 10 businesses, all making that, I don't know, X amount of money. Okay, so here's my personal website. So these are the projects that I'm involved. So Vita Lingua, that's my main cash cow. That's apps for you know, learning languages. And I'll tell you what, special offer here today. If you download one of my apps and you send me an email, and you just give me some feedback on a couple lines, and you're okay to potentially write a review, like a user review, like 2 or 3 lines, I will give you free advice. Worth more than that woman who's charging $600 an hour, because I've done a bunch of stuff. So Loa Digital is like a digital marketing agency that I've done some work under. Super Collider is my big thing here. Super Collider is going to be ginormous. How do I go back? What happened? Shoot.
Page, so we have to.
Just have to go back to the.
Yeah, I've got the tab.
This one, where'd it go? Where'd my own other tab?
I think it should be the one before it.
Control the page.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. So Super Collider is a meetup, and it's actually, there's one January 4th. You can look at meetup.com, Super Collider. So I started in Burlington, Vermont. It was a monthly meetup, and then we built it up into like a conference that happens every year called Synaptic Super Collider. But that means, yes, Synaptic Super Collider. So it's a conference all about like creativity. So here's our tagline: Super Collider creates unexpected collisions of creative individuals to unlock energy. And you know, like it's a 3-day conference up there. So we're gonna, but Super Collider, for a long time it was just fun, you know, it's just having fun. Oh, I have some friends over. I used to call it a club that I can't be kicked out of, because I own it. I can kick other people out of it, which is nice. And there's me. And so, but then, when I had a light bulb moment, because I got invited, I was walking by a meeting of the Rotary Club. You know what that is, right? Rotary Club. So I went in there, I was like, and I sat through it, and it's just a bunch of guys in their 70s, like having coffee and stuff, and listening to like some guy from a university. And then at the end, they were like, "You want to join?" I was like, "Okay, what do I got to do?" They're like, "It's $100 a year." I was like, "Okay, I can afford that." So then I ran back to my house, and I Googled, because I'd seen these Rotary clubs like everywhere, right? There's one in every single city. These little plaques. We have a Rotary club. They have 5 million members, theoretically paying $100 a year. Now, I'm not good at math, but I do know that's 500 million. And all they do for that is serve coffee to a bunch of 70-year-old guys, and they have a free speaker and a free venue. And they're making 500 million a year. That is like the best business I've ever heard of in my life. So then I was like, wow, I can do way better. Instead of the coffee, I'm going to serve cocktails, alcohol, instead of guys in their 70s, we're gonna have people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, everything. And then, you know, we're gonna have really interesting speakers and stuff like that. So I'm ramping that up. I'm gonna start chapters in Colombia, in, Buenos Aires, in Sydney. I mean, starting a chapter is, you just have to pick a venue, any venue, invite 100 friends, hope 20 or 30 of them show up, and that's a chapter. And then we'll be rolling out like a paid version of it, a paid membership, and things like that. So yeah, look for that. The best place to find me is just markbowl.com. But you'll see like, you know, so I've always got 100 million things going at once. So one of my first business was Ascendo. That was the business that we made productivity apps, and we still do. And that business made millions of dollars a year from just like, not a year, made millions of dollars over time. I think our best year ever was like 680,000 in revenue. But we had zero expenses, not even one, like $100 of hosting maybe, you know, like almost no expenses. So I split that with my main partner and a few other people that did some subcontracting work. And there's a billion things that aren't on here that I'm working on right now. And so yeah, if you want to contact me, I don't know if it's somewhere here. Anyway, it's markbowl@gmail.com.
Awesome. All right, thank you so much.
Any questions?
Any questions, Ruben?
How would you, and it's just like I'm in the space where I have the idea, I want to turn it into life. Like, what for you was like, I know you put the 50 hours in, you looked at the development. What made you go from, yo, this is the idea that I'm putting 50 hours in?
Yeah, that's a really important question, because I, like a lot of people, I think more than a lot of people, like I have like ideas every single moment of the day, like so many ideas. And so over time, I'm like, how do I decide which ones to invest in so I'm not just like spinning around like a top, you know? So one of the things I actually do for myself is I think, like, would I do this idea if there wasn't any money involved? Am I just doing it because I think there's a lot of money involved? If I think, because almost any idea, like, if you're a relatively smart person, you're willing to experiment. If you had an infinite amount of time, you would eventually get it right? If you had an infinite amount of time. But we don't have an infinite amount of time. So if you're doing it just because you think there's money in it, you know, it could work, but chances are you're gonna run out of like, of steam. Like, you know, as the weeks and months drag on, you're gonna be like, oh shit, and the money hasn't come in yet. I gotta go to something else. But if it's something that you really feel passionate about and that you enjoy, and that you do it even if there wasn't money in it, then you're like, oh wow, this could be really big, which is super club. Like I love events, I love organizing events. I'd do it if there was no money in it. I do think there's gonna be like $1 billion business in it, but I'd do it even if there was no money in it. Now, that being said, you gotta find the convergence with what people are willing to pay for. Because if you think like, oh, I really love watching Netflix and eating chips, you know, you don't want, even if like, just because you're passionate about eating chips in front of watching Netflix, you know, you gotta like research these things and just find the intersection between what you really would enjoy doing and what has got proven businesses making money, you know, doing. And once you find that intersection, and then look at one last thing, these businesses that are making money. There's certain types of businesses where you have to raise a lot of money, invest a huge amount of money. They're highly risky, and usually only one company can survive at the end of this bloodbath, right? Like if you decide, I want to make the next commercial airliner, well, you got to raise a lot of money. You got to invest a huge amount of money. And even at the end of the day, there might only be 1 or 2 companies that can survive. You know, so like things like, I want to build another search engine and beat Google. You know, those are like, they're businesses where like at the end of the day, it's sort of a winner takes all. So those areas where you find the legitimate businesses, it's great if you find lots of small businesses that are surviving. You know, if you find an area where there's lots of like small and medium-sized businesses, and you're like, okay, you know, I can get my niche in there. I can carve out my spot, get a little toehold, and so like and almost any business, you know, there's a way to approach it where you can get a toehold. You know, even if you like decide, oh, my life's work is to like launch another commercial airliner. Well, before you do that, like if you can't raise $3 billion to start research on that, you could be like, well, if I'm going to be successful in the commercial airline business, you know, there's 1,000,001 businesses in that ecosystem around commercial aviation. So if I just go down into one of the smaller ones, you know, maybe I could do consulting on safety, maybe I could do something involved in travel agencies, you know.
Selling tickets.
Right, selling tickets, yeah, things like that. And yeah, like if you got really good at selling tickets and built up a monster agency, you know, then you could backfill, like, you know, you could start your own airline, or you could
Or
start.
combine services like this guy from like
Yeah.
capital experience did.
Yeah, pretty much any business that you wanna be in, you can find like a risk-reward ratio that's like, adapted to you know. Alright, sorry.
So, I have one question. Like you shared like some of your successes of these companies. Where have you failed, or have you had some project that you, I don't know, like burn money or didn't
No, I
get
haven't.
success?
No, I never burn a lot of money. I mean, you know, marketing agency, no money necessary to start it. Software app business, no money. When I start a new app, I might spend like 1,000 to 2,000, maybe as much as 5,000 to make like the first version of it. But usually it's closer to 1,000 or 2,000. I've got this killer app coming out called Bionic Translator that's going to decimate Google, Bing, all those guys. Bionic Translator. I got the first version done. It cost me $1,300. It's coming out. It's going to be awesome.
How much is the stock?
How much is stock? Yeah. Super Collider, no money, right? Ascendo, no money. Phrasemates, no money. I can't think of one business where where it's been really capital intensive, where I had to come up with like, you know, more than $10,000. Most of them I start with like $1,000, $2,000.
And that money in particular that you're using, is it to hire like a developer or to pay for Google Ads, or what exactly would you say?
Yeah, when I spend that money, it's usually just for developers. But let's take Super Collider. Super Collider, so Super Collider, right? It's just a meetup, right? But we're gonna roll out like well, first of all, we sell sponsorships to the annual conference. So last year we sold about $20,000 worth of sponsorships and stuff like that. And then we're gonna start having paid members, you know, they pay $100 a year. What I do with that is it's revenue split. So anybody who's working with me to get sponsorships, they get 20% of any sponsorship money that they're able to bring in. So it's just a split of revenue, so no money up front. And usually the ones that do the best already have some experience fundraising, they know where to go. So it's easy money for them.
Nice. Alright. I think we have like a few more minutes and then we gotta get out of here. So I'm gonna show you 2 more things and then we gotta be out by 8.
But thanks a lot, that was awesome, man. Yeah, oh, well, I'm gonna stay with you guys.
Okay. So the last 2 things that I'm gonna show is this one story, and then I need to show you, I'm actually gonna do this first real quick. Oh, never mind, that's the wrong one. I just wanna show this real quick. Does anybody know about this? So Google will be hosting a Gen AI training program starting in January. I'm showing this because you know that Google Skill Shop has all these skills that you can take for free. You can get certifications, but this is the new one they're just launching. The QR code is right there. They're going to be starting January 22nd, and they're going to be running until I think end of February or so. It's going to be a 6-week class, 2 75-minute classes per week. It is all free if you're trying to get into that space or at least learn how all this works. I'm just going to post this real quick, and then there's another section I want to show you because they also just released 7 new training modules for Gen AI as well. So once you have that, let me know. You're good? Okay. Alright, I'm going to close it out real quick. And now, the other one is so 7 new no-cost generative AI training courses if you're trying to get into the space as well. So just search, Gen AI Google Cloud. The first one will be to teach you about ML, deep learning, so generative AI, and then language models, how to build your own. and then it's gonna go further into launching like Gen AI on cloud service platforms. And yes, we're about to finish.
No, sorry, no rush. I just wanted to see if anybody needed a slip.
Does anybody need parking? Anybody need parking slips?
No? No one in the parking garage?
Alright. Okay. Yeah, so if you're interested in that, these are ongoing as well. So these right here, again, no cost to do any of this stuff. These are the 7 different courses that they offer. I would highly recommend like taking advantage of it because this is the new thing coming up. If you're not on the board about this stuff, then yeah, it's gonna be hard to keep up with it. So the last part of that is, again, I always try to encourage people to, go out and try new things, and that was what the story of the life of Walter Mitty was about, getting out there. If you run a 9 to 5, it's, not that great when you have all this stuff out there, but there is one story out here. Who has heard of this movie? I didn't think so. Okay. Real quick, we'll watch this stuff.
Getting closer, going faster than closer, love like. Hey, Eric, you see my fucking elbow up there? Eric. Every day, you know about people. It's a little longer, every way.
Well, hello. So we won't help us.
Do you ever long for to love?
There will be no more wars after this invention of yours.
Faster than a roller coaster, love like yours will till you come to my way. Now listen, I need you to help me find someone. He's a 100-year-old geezer. His name is Owen Carlson. He has got my money. Bring him to me as soon as you can.
Hello. You might sound like Dave Mitty.
If you want to kill me, you better hold it. I'm 100 years old.
Trick!
Comrade Stalin wants you to tell him everything you know about the nuclear bomb.
Maybe to the drink first. It's Alan Carlson. It's Alan's in the next car. Look, it's Alan Carlson in my bag. Do something. Grab the car. Do something.
So with that, I just want to say happy holidays, Merry Christmas. I hope you enjoyed this. We're going to continue, into next year. I'm going to be planning on expanding more of this program because there's a lot of feedback. I know I get so many signups for this program, and I don't know if it's the location, if it's the time, but it's always the next day. They're just like, I couldn't find the room or something like that. But I'm looking to add on a Discord community. I'm going to probably adding on more courses next year as well because there's so much feedback. And then I will let you know what's going to be going on for January because there's more people that want to expand this at an informal setting instead of like a classroom. So, and if there's any ideas you have, again, please shoot me an email with your reminder. And if you want to connect, there it is. So as I was saying, go explore, go take an adventure, go somewhere place you've never been before, and blog about it, put it on YouTube, TikTok, whatever, and then hopefully something comes of it.
Thank you.
All right, thanks so much. Oh, absolutely. That's okay, yeah.
Yeah.
When are you planning on leaving?
Absolutely.
I'm leaving on the 7th. I'm gonna try and go to see if I can work at Vancouver. So yeah, I've been hopping to check things out. Sign up for the
Oh yeah, thank you. Yeah, there's so much going on in New York.
Did you get the slides?
Yes, yeah, that's right, yeah. So just put your name on there, and then I'm gonna send the slides to everybody.
Okay, I'm technically not part of Capital, but I'm just showing up.
And then this was.
Yes, that's me.
Oh, okay.
I'm also involved with
Yeah, I'm trying to
programs, similar
do the
like
digital nomad thing.
a lot of people in the community are
And
actually
Vigolingo, I'd love to check it out.
It's called
Oh, yeah, if you would, I've heard of it.
I've heard of it, and I know a lot of the stuff he puts on his email.
Yeah, I got it.
No, all in.
Okay.
This
I've
guy is
got several apps that we're doing right now.
Maxi front end. So I mean, his course. One programming tool. So he's also a digital.
Yeah, I'm happy to try things out. I'm a software engineer, so, and I've been, just making a
I wrote
video of
this
this
program
game
for
just
right
for
now,
fun.
but I don't really know like
Give myself life.
community.
But really what I'm trying to do is
So
find how I can take some of my skills and
how
monetize
you have
it.
this course.
I'm really
Yeah,
good.
he's setting that up.
I did like a tutoring session with my friend last night, because he wants to learn how to code. And they said, they were really happy with it, they were picking things up really quickly. I've worked as a tutor in the past before, I just love education, I gotta like,
Well, remember, you can
find
always
how
go
I
on
can make
Upwork,
that.
and you can
Have you
always
ever
go on
tried like a
Fiverr, and then
Udemy?
put your own profile.
I can do a Udemy course, yeah.
Yeah, but
I
I feel like it's not very.
There's like so many courses out there, learn how to program, right?
There's always this kind of
Like
the idea that people.
I suppose, yeah, you're right, it's not a matter of like. I'll try something like that.
I mean, it's mobile for you though, so see how it goes. But please do also a lot.
Oh, yeah, I encourage you.
I love this,
Yeah.
don't love this.
Thank you. Are you gonna be here in January?
No, I'm flying back here. I'm only going to be here for 2 weeks.
Okay, alright.
So one real me is just like the
Oh, yeah.
iteration.
Yeah, well, you know,
I'm from no matter where you start, so.
Okay.
It's just as long as you're
Oh,
creating
no.
something.
Yeah,
I like that.
well, yeah, you learn from doing, you learn so much more.
Poland.
So like, even if it's like,
Like a digital nomad, but I'm doing like a e-commerce business, or like outsourcing the warehouse to sales marketing. So good idea about this virtual assistant. And
Are you gonna start your own?
tutoring, like actually.
I have
Yeah,
business
that's
in Europe,
generally
now
been
I'm
my
starting
expertise
here.
is
But I'm selling like a physical product, so I coordinate
I've done very
more
good work
complicated,
with
but
that.
still I can go fully online.
Oh, yeah.
I know product.
I think I just haven't
Okay.
really put enough
Wow.
effort into it, like, build clients.
Well, what's your involved?
I'm gonna let my cover.
On decoration.
I mean, you know, there's a lot of
I saw that.
You know, there's all kinds of, well, I guess it's sort of like, sort of on the tail end of that, but a lot of people have made a lot of money.
Yeah.
I mean like.
Right, and I've worked for,
yourself.
I even have like, I'm kind of poking at some ideas of creating an app
Yeah.
for transition between boot camp and getting a job. Because I see that's like a really big pain point for anybody that goes through these kind of education. Like, getting jobs at the end of that is trying to make that transition more smooth. So I've got some ideas for that, but I feel like they're a little too grandiose, like starting an airliner, right, you were saying. So I'm trying to find something that's like smaller that I can manage. Something that I can handle.
Maybe it's just helping people find a job, you know, that boils down to like websites and, you know, online social media stuff.
Right.
It wouldn't cost a lot of money.
Not too bad. At least the idea that I have for it, I could probably simplify it and just do something about it. So, yeah, a lot of, always a dozen and one ideas.
Yeah, you know, I got like 101 tricks. What I do is try to.
Should write it up.
Not tricks. No, but it's true. I've developed like a lot of tons and tons of techniques.